I'm just waiting for people to join. Hi, Katie. Hi, Courtney. So one of the benefits of joining live is that if you have a question, please ask it, because chances are somebody else has the same question. And I wish that a lot of my groups were more interactive. A lot of times people kind of just watch silently behind, and it's like, I'm your coach, I want to help you. Oh, good, we have a baby. Hi, Courtney. So if you do have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask. We're not going to have a big enough group that that's going to really be annoying. These midday trainings don't get as many people live just because people have jobs. But I'm going to get going in just a minute because I don't want to waste your time. Did you guys watch the training video in the app? You can just go like this if you want. Did you guys watch that one? Yeah. Okay. They did a really good job at making that really short and concise. So I'm just going to kind of elaborate on that. So if anybody's watching this replay and you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch it. All right, I'm going to get going. So this week we are learning about macro tracking and carb cycling. To reiterate, last week we did intermittent fasting, we did whole food nutrition, and we kind of played with introducing some of the workouts. Everybody should know that these are all single by themselves tools that you can use. If one of them doesn't work for you, you don't have to use it. You can put it in your back pocket, you can bring it out. Faster Way is proven to produce results when done together, but you will also see results when you don't necessarily do all of them. So if one of them isn't working for you, let's talk. There's a way that we can figure it out. All right, let's get into macro tracking very quick. So disclaimer, we used to use MyFitnessPal to track macros up until January of 2022. So some of you who have tracked for a long time, feel free to use MyFitnessPal. If you have not used MyFitnessPal and you're following our meal plan, the Faster Way app is the way to go. That being said, what are macros? Macros are carbs, fat, and protein. Hopefully you already watched the video that Amanda and Haven did, so you know a little bit about them. We need all of them. We, however, do tap into low carb days on Monday and Tuesday with something called carb cycling that I'll get to in a minute. Macro tracking is basically, we're just making sure that we're getting enough protein, enough carbohydrates, and enough fat for optimum results. Personally, I found that my sugar cravings went away when I followed the 45, 25, 30 rule of the macro split. I shared if you're a vegetarian, you'll want to do the 50, 30, 20. So 20% are coming from protein. It can be hard to hit your protein. As you heard in the video, Amanda even admits it is hard for her to hit hers as well. Today, I will break my fast with eggs, some chicken sausage. I actually have the chicken sausage up here. I don't know why I felt the need to just eat that to prove that I'm eating food, but I just did. So now I have to talk with my mouth full. That was stupid. But anyway, eggs and chicken sausage and some avocado usually. I don't have any today, but that's kind of what I break my fast with on our low carb days. Tracking macros doesn't have to be complicated. If you're going to follow our meal plan, use the Faster Way app. The meals are already in there, so you don't necessarily have to be scanning and tracking the whole time. It can be time consuming. Some time saving techniques. Track your favorite recipes. Track them once, and you never have to do it again. You'll just have it saved in your app, go in, add it, done. You can eat the same thing today and tomorrow. You only have to track once. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, again, similarly, you're probably not going to eat the same things on Saturday and Sunday as you do during the week, but you can eat the exact same thing as you want Wednesday, Thursday as you want. You could Friday as well, but you might get bored. So if macro tracking is tough, just make sure that you're taking the shortcuts that are available to you. You don't need to make it more complicated than it has to be. So we try to take the guesswork out by providing you with the meal plan so that you don't have to necessarily track. Just make the food, use the measurements according to our meal plan. And that way it's a little bit easier. If you don't like the meal plan, however, you can make whatever recipes you want. In the app, you can go to our, so just getting out. If you go to nutrition, I believe you can enter in, do you want to pre-fill? I don't pre-fill because I don't really follow the meal plan. However, if I went to meal 1, you can see suggest, and it will show you a couple common foods that will go. You also can go to nutrition recipe library, and there you'll see what the meal plan is for this week, vegan the week before. If you scroll down, you see poultry, beef, pork, seafood, grains, seeds, legumes, soup, smoothies. If you know it's a low carb day, let's go to smoothie. Say you want a smoothie, you'll go to low carb day and you're going to look at the carbs. Make sure you're finding a smoothie that is lower in carbs. There are a variety of options, but you're obviously not going to choose the banana cinnamon because your carbs there are 71. Okay, that should make sense to most people. But you also don't need to do recipes. Keep things simple. When I am doing low carb days, if I want a smoothie, it's probably just going to be protein powder and some peanut butter and nut milk, almond milk, or avocado to give it some consistency. The one thing that people get caught up on, kind of jumping around, sorry about this. Hopefully it's okay to follow. The one thing on low carb day. So if you're nursing, you're going to have 100 net carbs. If you're not nursing, you're going to have 50 net carbs. Net is total carbohydrates minus fiber. The reason that we do this is so that we burn through all of our carbohydrates that are readily available. That's what our body uses first when we need energy. Think about marathon runners. They're running for an hour and then they reach for that goo. It's straight sugar. That's your body's preferred source of energy. It's the quickest way that it can convert food into energy to keep these marathon runners going forward and having energy. Once all the carbohydrates are depleted, then your body taps into protein or fat, and it's just not as efficient. You're just not going to feel as good. But I didn't mean to say protein, into fat. So once the carbohydrates are gone, your body then will start to rely on fat for fuel. And that's where we become the fast rate of fat loss. So we are going to burn through our carbohydrates, and then we're going to tap into our fat stores and use that for fuel. On low carb days, we do not go low calorie. The carbohydrates that we're not eating are going to come in the form of fats. So we're eating extra fats. So your snacks on low carb days should be fatty snacks. They should not be carby snacks. Examples include, you could do, my go-tos, I do nuts. I'm the big fan of cashews. I do the pre-portioned packs because I will eat half a bag. Also, a good way to get your fats in is using salad dressing on salads, using olive oil, roasting vegetables, having fish that's fatty like salmon or beef that's fatty. That's how you can get in some of those fats, also eggs. And so one thing that people get screwed up on low carb days is sometimes people will avoid fiber. They'll think that it's low carb, and so they won't eat any fruits or vegetables. You can eat fruits and vegetables, just choose them from low starchy options. So we're not going to be eating a lot of potatoes, and if we do, they're going to be smaller portion. Things like asparagus, broccoli, green beans. Broccoli does have some carbs, but you're obviously not going to be eating, a bowl of broccoli today. But don't forget to eat foods like berries, things that are lower carb, but have lots of fiber, and make sure you drink plenty of water. That's what's going to help you feeling good on low carb days. If you're one of my clients that's just going to do nuts, and you're not supposed to do cheese, but let's pretend you do cheese because you're used to that, and protein, and you're not doing any fiber, you're not going to feel great. And so I would avoid falling into that trap. So make sure that you are getting fiber. If you don't hit 25 grams of fiber, that's fine. I'm not expecting anybody to be able to do that on these low carb days. Some people do, and that's great, but don't look at your fiber as a goal. However, if you do hit the 25, you're able to eat technically more carbohydrates than someone who's not eating any fiber at all, because we're doing net carbs. Again, total carbohydrates minus fiber. If you're someone who's not feeling great on low carb days, feel free to bump up your minimum to 75 or 100. My breastfeeding women, I don't think we have any pregnant clients in this round. But if you do get pregnant on this and you still want to kind of follow along, it would go up to 100 or 150. Someone in my August group did get pregnant during our 6 weeks. So, okay. So carb macro tracking, we are tracking protein, protein, carbs, and fats. Fiber is not a macro. Okay. We have a goal in your app, but don't get stressed about it. If you don't feel good and you see that you're super low, that might be why you're not feeling great. Alcohol is not a macro. So if you were to just enter in alcohol, it would be like a free calorie. So we enter it in separately. If you're serious about your progress, I recommend trying to omit alcohol. When I'm like really, focused on getting to a goal, I do cut alcohol. But if I am okay with my goal taking a little bit longer because I want a more realistic approach, I recommend 4 glasses a week. You could do 2 and 2. You could do 1 for 4 days. We do believe that alcohol inhibits your body's ability to burn fat for fuel. So if you have alcohol in your body is not necessarily going to be the most efficient fat burner. So I usually tell my clients, try to get where you're going, lose a lot of the fat that you want. And then when you're kind of like in a maintenance phase, add it back in moderately, because your goal isn't necessarily burning fat. It's more of just maintenance. So I'm not opposed to adding alcohol back in, but if you're serious, try to really limit that consumption. So anyway, when you enter it in, you will enter it in, like, I think even in the app, you could probably search Faster Way Wine. So you're going to choose if it's going to be a fat or a protein. We enter it in manually, kind of funky. It's either fat or a protein. A glass of wine is 130 calories. There are 9 calories in a gram of fat. There are 4 calories in a gram of protein or carbs. So if you're choosing your wine to be listed as a carb, you take 130 divided by 4, which is going to be 120 divided by 4, which is going to be 30. So 30 grams of carbohydrates is what you would enter for a glass of wine. Liquor, I think, is even less, maybe 90 calories. So let's say we're going to do it for fat for easy math purposes. 90 divided by 9 is 10, obviously. So you would enter in maybe a vodka soda as 10 grams of fat. Ideally, you're going to put your alcohol in as fat on low carb days, and you're going to do it as a carb on regular macro days. Kind of cheating, but that's how most of us will probably benefit from it. So again, the point of carb cycling is to burn through all the carbohydrates that we have readily available, the glucose that our body can use for fuel, and then tap into the fat. It's like stealing some tips and tricks from the keto diet, but we don't do it long-term. We don't do it long-term because we believe that if you are going to be eating low carb all the time, it is not sustainable. I'm going to a wedding on Saturday. I can guarantee you I'm probably not going to eat nor do I want to eat a low carb diet at a wedding. It's just not sustainable. We also think it has a negative impact on hormone health, as you heard Lee and Haven talk about in the training video. With the macro tracking though, some people are like, do I have to do it every day? And I'm like, if you want to see progress, it's a great idea. My goal for my clients, though, is become intuitive eaters. I want you to use macro tracking so that you can see how much food your body actually needs. Because I think a lot of us are under eating. I just watched a video that I published to YouTube in 2010, and it was silly what I was saying, but I was 24 years old, I think, or something like that. So I'm going to try, or 28, no, I wasn't 28 then. Anyway, I don't know how old I was in 2010, but the information is a little out of date, and I was eating way too little. And so if I could go back, I wish I could show my younger self and be like, in order to see results, you need to eat about 1,800 calories. You're still going to see results, but this is how much you can and should be eating. Because in the video, I was probably eating closer to 12 or 14. And at night, I was starving. And in the video, I'm like, sometimes I have a hard time with my sweet tooth. And it's because I was so hungry that I would, let myself have this small little thing of ice cream. And I'm like trying to be good, but I'm starving. And so of course I can't stop at that 1 cup of ice cream. So in the video, I'm like, sometimes I eat too much and then I try to burn it off the next day in the gym. And that is like the opposite mindset that I have now. I do not have that mindset. I do not want any of you to have that mindset. We do not earn our food here. We do not burn off if we overindulge. Move on. Every day is a new day. Every meal is a new meal to start fresh. I do not want anyone to have any guilt if they make a choice that is not the most nutritious. If you made a choice to have something like a brownie or a cookie, Enjoy it. I hope it's delicious. I hope it was from a great bakery. I hope maybe your grandma made it. Enjoy it. We have this thing called memories over macros here in the Faster Way. When I go to this wedding on Saturday, I haven't been to a wedding in a while. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to make good decisions when I can, but I'm also not going to restrict myself. And on Sunday, I'm going to get up. I'm probably going to be hungover, let's be honest, but I'm probably going to have some eggs and I'm not going to go work out to burn it off. I'm not going to feel bad. It was one day. I enjoyed it. This is a little bit more mindset than we usually talk about in week 2, but just because I'm sharing personal experience, move beyond it. So we're tracking macros so that we are mentally aware of how much fuel our body needs, but also how much our body needs to see results. Our macro targets are targets. They're not limits. If anybody posts a screenshot of their macros and they're way low every single day, I'm not going to be like, great job. I'm going to say, hey, it looks like you have a lot more left. Tomorrow, let's try eating more protein. Some of you are going to come to me and you're going to say, I am just not hungry. These are too high for me. Remember that this is an algorithm and this doesn't take into effect how much muscle you have. It also doesn't know your NEAT, which is a short way to talk about non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is anything that your body does outside of working out, eating, and sleeping. So think about walking up the stairs to get your kids' outfits. Think about walking your kid to school, to the bus, chasing your child around for that TV remote because you don't want them to watch TV anymore. All of these little things require energy. And when we use this algorithm, realize that it's not going to take into effect all of these daily things. So you might not need as much food as this algorithm says. You might need more. So pay attention to your hunger. So I want you guys to try to hit your targets to see how you feel, but do not eat to eat if you're really not hungry. But let's give an example. If you don't hit your macros, say you're 20, 30, sometimes I have people that are 100 grams below their carb goal. The next day, they cannot do intermittent fasting. They're starving. They have to eat right away. They don't feel well. Chances are that person didn't eat enough the day before. Chances are, I'm not saying for sure, chances are. So I want you for this week to try to start tracking, playing with it. We focus on progress over perfection. So I don't expect anybody to hit their targets every day this week or next week for that matter. The goal is to hit plus or minus 10 to 15 grams. Now, the reason why I have such a wider goal than some other coaches is because I really believe that there's a lot of error on our end, as well as manufacturers. So there might be, they legally can be, I think, 20% off in their labels. And we're probably going to be about 20% off in our measurements, especially something like peanut butter, and most of you probably aren't going to weigh fruits and vegetables, nor do I expect you to weigh fruits and vegetables. So realize these are targets, not limits. And the goal is to be between plus or minus 10 to 15. Do not eat to eat to feel good. If you are hitting the right macros, everybody should feel energized. You should feel satiated. You should not have a lingering sugar craving. You might crave sugar on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's normal because we're kind of detoxing. It's a low carb day, but drink plenty of water and hopefully you feel good. All right. Anybody have any questions? I just talked a lot. Feel free to unmute yourself and just ask if you don't want to type it. No questions?
My biggest question is, I
Katie,
feel like
I can't hear you, but it looks like you're talking.
did it go now?
It says not mute. I can't hear you though. Now you're muted. Let me see if I ask to unmute you.
Did that work?
It's not connected. Oh wait, now I can hear you. Oh my God, I'm so good. My computer was muted.
No, it's okay.
Oh my God.
My biggest question is, so I feel like I make a lot of modifications to the meals that are in the app, and rather than me having to like go through and is there a way that I can take the meal that's there? So like this morning I made the protein smoothie, but because I'm nursing, I added the full banana. I used a different kind of protein powder. I used a different kind of milk. Like, does that matter? Or
so I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
You take note. And so people keep asking like, can we modify the recipe? And they haven't added that capability. That's something that
Yeah.
like you could do on MyFitnessPal.
Right.
But I would say just put it in as is, take note that they're going to be more carbs. And when you post your macros, so Anais is going to help me check macros. So she might not remember. And to be honest, I have the memory of a goldfish these days. So I might forget that you're nursing. I have all of your new client assessments, but sometimes when I'm like checking on the fly,
Yeah.
like in pickup line. And so I won't be at my desk to like check your new client assessment to make sure to be like, is she nursing? So I might ask you. So please give me some slack if I ask you a question that I've asked you before, but just leave a note. So when you post your macros, so we do ask clients to post macros at the end or beginning of each day. So like you would post your macros tomorrow morning for today or tonight after fast is closed. And so give it some color, like say, I felt great. I actually, I actually had more carbs than listed here. And I will understand what you mean. Or you could be like, I did great tracking lunch, snacks, and at dinner, I didn't track, but this is what I had.
Gotcha.
And you're like, okay, great. Because honestly, my goal is for you guys to become more intuitive eaters, and to have to track every single meal of every single day for the rest of your life ain't realistic. So I want you to really kind of be in tune with your hunger. It takes a lot of my clients about at least 6 weeks, sometimes 6 months to get to this point. For me, it took me about a solid 6 weeks. And I now kind of intuitively, I'm like, oh, I didn't eat carbs today. I'm going to have like a snack that is like straight up carbs and I feel better. And so it's not that I'm measuring it out. It's just I'm acutely aware that I've had no protein and I'm starving. So then I'll go and I'll make sure that I have something protein. But you don't have to modify, do as best you can. And just let me know in the comments that, something may not be accurate or something may not be tracked properly. And I'll just say, well, what did you have? Or sometimes I'll have people that are like, I can't hit my fats. What do you recommend? And it's like, well, send me what you've been eating and I can give you feedback and tips on what to add to them. Like I had someone that was eating salad and like, I was like, we had some salad dressing. Like, I don't know what they were doing, or like they were having a very simple lunch. And I was like, have a salad. It's a great one for low carb. Courtney, do you have a question? Or Katie, do you have a follow-up?
Nope, that's good. Thank you.
All right. And hi, baby.
I definitely like noticed, because I was trying to track last week. I've done macros before, so I was like trying to track it. And I definitely feel like I eat like not enough, especially with the fasting. Like when I was able to track macros better before, it was because I wasn't fasting. So it was like eating breakfast, like I would still try to fast a little bit, but not as long. So I'm struggling with like getting it all in early enough. Then sometimes I like eat dinner and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like 30 grams of protein left, and I'll eat like a smoothie or something, but like I'm not hungry. Like, is it better to eat that smoothie when I'm not hungry, or like?
So this is a common question with clients. So usually I say, don't eat to eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. But take a mental note the next day how you feel. So the next day you may be like, I am so hungry, I cannot fast. And in that circumstance, break your fast early. So Lee, who you may or may not know from the workout videos yet, she does not do a very long fast because she has a lot of protein that she eats and she can't get it in if she doesn't break her fast early. I am not that person. But for her, she's, I think like eating like 130 grams of protein or something. She's eating a lot. She needs to break her fast early. So if you are struggling to get them in, but then you are feeling not great the next morning, I would say, let's maybe widen your fast a little bit to make sure that you do get it so that you're not feeling like garbage the next day. Yeah. However, if you feel fine and you're really low, if it's just protein, I'm going to say, let's be low so that we still have that 45, 25, 30 split. So I have certain clients that will always hit their fats, but then their protein and their carbs are very low. And I'm like, this isn't the balance that we want. We still want to maintain that ratio, that 45, 25, 30, as long as that's what you're following. So if you're under, I want you to be under the same amount in, roughly, again, everything is that 20% change.
I want you to be similarly under in protein and carbs, and fat will be a little less just because there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So it would be a little different. But does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And is it like normal to feel like I am like hungry now? My fast ends at like 12:30. Like, is it
I would
normal?
eat. It's 11:30. So I'm pretty loose about the whole fasting thing.
Okay.
There's don't go down the rabbit hole of Googling intermittent fasting. But there's a lot of studies, not a lot of them are on women. I shouldn't say not a lot, some are on women, and not a lot are on a 16/8. They're on like the 24-hour fast. There's a lot of studies. The one underlying one is the health benefits outside of fat loss is for certain. The fat loss benefit, you can find studies that do say that it definitely 100%, it does contribute to fat loss. There are some studies that say really it's because you're limiting your feeding window. And so I use this as a hall pass. On the days that I feel great, I do intermittent fasting. On the days that I'm not feeling awesome, I don't do intermittent fasting, and I don't allow it to affect me mentally. I don't want people to become slaves to a clock. I don't want this to feel like a restrictive program to anybody. If you are hungry at 10 o'clock, break your fast. If you're hungry at 11, break your fast. You guys are still on week 2, so it takes a little bit of time getting used to. I joke that I have clients that are like, do you miss eating breakfast with your kids? And I'm like, I don't eat any meal with my kids. Eating with my kids is awful. I can't sit. I'm constantly getting up like, can I have ketchup? Can I have a water? Can I have this? Can I have that? So like, I just don't eat with my kids. So it's not something I miss. But you guys may still be getting used to not eating. So try to push it until like 10. But if you're hungry now at 11:30, I would eat. I do between 14 and 16 hour, really depending on my day, how I feel, my schedule. So don't feel like you need to be rigid with that clock.
Yeah, I feel like just with like the way that my life works, like I'm probably better off eating a little bit earlier than like pushing food later at night. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it's all kind of a trial and error. Like, see how you feel. I truly believe there's no one size fits all program. And again, using Lee is a great example. She's one of our head trainers. I think she might do a 12-hour fast. I think that might be it that she does. And the other thing is there's some research that I need to follow up on this week that's emerging about fasting and menstrual cycles, and how like the week that you are someone, I don't even know the name of the phase, but there's like some like follicle phase or something. You might know, but I don't. That fasting is not great as a female. And so they're like, so for that week, I think I may change and be like, all right, let's do a 12 or 14, but how many of us know what cycle, what week we are? So again, I'm trying to urge my clients to become in tune with their connection, mind, body, hunger. And so if your body is like, eat, do it. Don't be a slave to a calculator. Don't be a slave to the clock. Listen to your body, listen to your hunger. If you are hungry, eat. If your body is saying, eat your grandma's pumpkin bread, eat your grandma's pumpkin bread. Luteal phase. Thank you, Katie. Yes. Which week is that? That's what I need to like research. But I like haven't had a period for like 7 years, and all of a sudden I get it again. It's very bizarre how frequently it comes. I went from literally having like 4 periods in 7 years to once a month now. It's weird. When did she say? She did not say, but I will Google that for everybody and figure it out. So again, yes, listen to your body. Don't be a slave to these algorithms. I don't want this to feel restrictive to anyone. If anything, I want tracking macros to be a wake-up call for people to be like, I should have been eating more. And don't neglect protein. Protein is one of the most important macros. And if you are only going to track one macro, it would be protein, especially when we're building muscle. And lastly, that I'll say is something that Courtney and I have been texting about for anybody that's listening is, for those of you that are used to like sweaty, really challenging workouts, if you're feeling like the workouts are a little slower paced and they're not up your alley, what I do is I will start the strength workout and I'll do the warm up. And then as soon as the head trainer introduces that first move, I start doing that move. And I watch as they show the modifications for the first move. I watch as they introduce the second move, and I'm still doing that first move as they're moving. And sometimes I'm even moving on to the second move as they are still introducing the first set. And so by the time they start their first superset, I've already completed the first one and I do the second one with them. And then I skip ahead to the next series. So I am able to get in my strength workouts. And again, listen to the weights that the trainers are using because they're going to challenge you to use heavier weights. Often I will grab my 10s or my 8s, and then I'll hear someone's using a 15. And I'm like, I got to get my 15s. I will grab the heavier weight and it really challenges me. So that's the benefit of listening to them. But I will finish that workout pretty quick. I will finish it in 20, 25 minutes. Some days, like this past Saturday, that was all I did. That was all the time I had. However, if I have more time, if it's like during the week and I have my nanny, I will go ahead and I will add in like a 20-minute Peloton workout, or I'll go for a long walk with Al. I don't want anyone over exercising though, because that's kind of what we're trying to get past. If anybody is like killing themselves a lot, you may find that it will really increase your hunger. It's going to take longer to recover. You're going to feel a little bloated. Your body's never going to fully recover and feel rested and able to build more lean muscle and just operate, function optimally. So don't ever exercise. 60 minutes is definitely the max total. I only do 30 minutes personally, but 30 to 45 ideal. But don't over exercise. All right. That answered your question, Courtney, kind of. You can give me a thumbs up. All right. Anybody else have any other questions? Oh, Monday, Tuesday, I do Peloton. This has been a long training. Sorry. Monday and Tuesday are my Peloton days just because I have a prolapse. If you are prenatal, please don't follow Amanda. She is a unicorn. We don't know how she is able to do, I don't know how she's able to do mountain climbers. So it's postpartum. I don't even do mountain climbers and I am 18 months or 20 months postpartum. Tomorrow's Elle's 20-month birthday. So follow the low impact if you're postpartum. And even if you're not, if you have a DR, Amanda's a unicorn. Okay. Anybody else? This was a long training. Sorry.
I have one more question.
Yeah, go.
For especially, I find like for snacks is where I struggled. Like last week when I tracked macros, I felt like I was short carbs a lot to meet that nursing goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always snacking on the go. It'll be like a bar in the car or like something where I'm like going from point A to point B. Do you have recommendations other than nuts or a bar that are good, easy, quick things?
So definitely don't do nuts on regular macro days. Nuts on regular macro days are never recommended because you're going to blow through your fats real quick, or at least most people do.
Yeah, I found that.
So honestly, simple is best. A banana, an apple, dates. I do a lot of dried fruit, mango. Carbs tend to be what people are low on. And so even a smoothie, like with, tons of fruit, tons of frozen fruit and protein powder. There are bars that I really like. I try to do ones that are lower in fat, higher in protein. I like these Aloha bars. Homemade granola bars, like oatmeal bakes. I always tell people like oatmeal is such a yummy, easy thing to have. That's a good carb. Like people always think about it for breakfast, but it's also not a terrible snack to have either, especially with some fruit. Non-dairy Greek yogurt is another one that I really like. Siggi's is my favorite flavor. My other go-to, I have like a cheat sheet. Check the app for cheat sheets. I think I sent one out last week, but also like leftovers from dinner, roasted sweet potatoes, not an ideal snack, but like when you're on the go, other things. I think dried fruit is kind of my go-to snack, or popcorn. That's another one for a mom. That's like an easy one. Those smart pop things. That's a good carby snack on the go. Rice cakes. Not kind of those give me diet vibes, but like if we're tracking macros, they're not a horrible idea. A little bit of peanut butter, yum. But fruit is usually my go-to. That's what I recommend to people as like a good kind of like filled with water, fiber, good little snack to have. And most of us have fruit on hand because we have children. I don't eat a lot of fruit, to be honest, as a grown adult, unless it's like in a smoothie. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. This is a big week. You guys got it. Everybody's going to post their macros in the Facebook group so I can double check them. Me and Anais are going to look at them to make sure that you have the accurate target. Do not miss
I have a tickle in my throat. Do not miss this opportunity. I had one client last round that didn't send me her macros. And at the end of the 6 weeks, she's like, hey, I'm feeling really bloated. Sent me your macros. And I'm like, where did these come from? They were like way high. And she laughingly was like, I'm going to be so mad if I had the wrong macros this whole time. And I'm like, you never sent them to me or filled out your new client assessment. So I'm here to help you succeed, but you have to do your job too. So post your macros. In the Facebook group below the daily thread. You can do that today, or you can do it tomorrow, or you can do it Wednesday. You have 3 days to do it, but post it below the Facebook group or send it to me via text, and I will give you the sign off that these are good to go. Make sure that you've done your new client assessment too before you send them, because that's what we cross-reference. All right, that's it. Sorry for the long one. Christina, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, go. I have 4 minutes left before it kicks me off.
I missed the beginning. Are we sending our macros for this week or for last week, or?
Just send me a screenshot of your goals. So
Oh, of our goals. Okay.
this shot should look like, and I actually didn't say that at the beginning. I apologize. So for everybody, your macro goals, if you go into the app and you click profile and then you click my macro goals, send me this screenshot.
Okay.
I don't know if these are actually mine or not, so don't like look at them, because I use the calculator to like check everybody's. So this probably isn't mine. Mine's a little bit higher. But yeah, so just do a screenshot of this and either text it or put it in the Facebook group so I can see. Because this way I can see what your low carb goal is. But you don't have to send me what you ate last week now. And then moving forward, after, you'll send a screenshot of this, which has like how close you are to your targets.
Yeah.
I haven't entered
Okay.
anything in today, so you can't see anything, but pretend I did this bowl.
Do you want the low carb day and the regular days? Like both?
You can just do, if you just do my profile, my macro goals, you'll see what the goals are for every day there. See below?
Oh, yeah.
I can see the targets. I know it's like backwards, but so just do that and I can see all of them. And obviously don't worry about moderate carb day, feast day, low macro day, or 24-hour fast, because those are tools that we use in VIP. Maybe that's not even in your app, but those are tools in our VIP that we use. Where do we text? Whatever text you got this morning, Yasmin, with the reminder for this call, just text that back. You can return it. I can mass text all of you guys, but I also personally text you guys through that. So sometimes if you're like, is this a mass text or a personal text? It's both. Sometimes it's personal. You can usually tell when it's personal, and you can usually tell when it's emailing, texting everybody. Yasmin, I added you yesterday. Oh, are you out of the country? That could be why. No, I added you to text, so you should have gotten one this morning, but I will double check. I don't want to broadcast everybody. You're, let me see what you are. I have that I texted you today, but I will PM you to see, but you've been getting texts. So your last name. Oh, all right. Thanks for the number. All right, let me update it. All right, the rest of you guys. Oh, I have a different email. I'll add you. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, guys, you're good to go. You can hang up. I'm going to add Yasmin's number, and then I don't know why it's not there. And I will see you guys next week, probably same time. If we change it, I'll let you know. All right. Bye, guys.